What's up everyone, this is Ryan with Dangerous Edge. I'm here to talk about the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera because I just got one and I want to give you the experience and perspective of using this camera for the first week as someone who does a lot of action sports. So let's start out with why I bought this camera, right? So we usually use the GoPro and the Instamax 360 camera, and with these it's more of a body cam fisheye experience. So with the Pocket, I really wanted to get a camera with a gimbal that could follow me as I do certain tricks and really test out that feature, as well as adding something that's small and efficient for long lens to our regular setup. Because usually when we go out into the woods and we film stuff or at the skate park, I don't want to bring a bunch of stuff, and this camera has really good reviews, and after doing a bunch of research, I'm really sold on the idea of using this as a quick camera to capture even on solo events where it can follow you with the face tracking and you can really get some really good content while being efficient with your time. So that's why I got this camera. Some of the uses I have for it are going to involve like knife throwing, skating, mountain biking, scootering, and some gymnastics as well. So I'm really excited for that. So here's my perspective on it as someone with that kind of use for it, not necessarily landscape or vlogging as much. So the first thing is the tracking, right? So tracking is really cool with this camera. You'll see some of the footage of me at the skate park, and it's really good at keeping you in the frame. But what you'll notice is when you're on wheeled objects and you're trying to use the tracking feature, depending on your speed, the camera is actually going to struggle to keep up with you. You'll notice that it kind of always is a little bit behind where you're moving, and that can be a little annoying when you're trying to keep yourself centered in the shot. So it's not as good at tracking as if you had another human there watching the camera, but it is a very, very smooth camera. You know, it's not like jittery or shaky, and there's ways that you can kind of combat this even more. For example, if you did a trick where you're kind of going straight to the camera or more diagonal, it'll have an easier time keeping you in the shot as opposed to crossing horizontally on the screen. Especially like in the trick where I do, where I go one way and it brings me back the other way. You could see the camera lag on that kind of thing. So that is something to consider if you're trying to film yourself skating or anything like that with this camera. It's really good probably for tech stuff where you're going slower, so the camera doesn't have to keep adjusting to you and losing if you're moving faster than the head of the camera, because even with the gimbal at the highest speed was still lacking, and the faster it goes the more jittery it is too. So you kind of want to keep it on the lowest gimbal setting, otherwise you're going to have cases of the camera being more shaky than you really want it to be. But I think it's really good, like I said, for like trying tech tricks and the type of trick where you don't really want to have like all the homies there just for that on a Saturday and you're taking forever. So it's really good for that kind of shot, and also any kind of artsy shots too are really good for that. So moving on, the slow-mo is something I'm really into. This camera has a lot of capabilities for slow-mo. The one that I use the most is I keep it at the highest quality, so 4K, and that's going to give you 120 frames per second as the max slow-mo you can do without dropping quality. And this is really good, as you'll see in the footage. I'm very impressed with the fact that it cuts out the motion blur from many tricks. So it does have that professional appeal to me. Some things about the slow-mo that are kind of a bummer is that, in my experience, you can't have sound. There's no audio when you do slow-mo, and you also can't active track. So it really is like it stays in one place for the slow-mo shots. But if you have someone hold the camera, you can really easily circumvent that. And with a little bit of editing tricks, you can add those sound effects of the pop and the land of the skateboard without having to worry about the sound being cut out. So a little bit of movie magic can really make those clips pop a bit better. And I think it is worth it with this kind of quality of slow-mo, with the sensor that this camera has to keep everything crispy. Yeah, I think that's a big selling point to me that I'm really excited to explore more. It might even just be my mega slow-mo camera for 4K because of that fact that I can get other shots in 4K in like 60 frames with the 360 camera or the GoPro. But you'll see this footage and it just really adds that theatrical effect of tricks and shows like the physics in a really cool way when it's slow-moed to that degree without dropping quality. So I'm really impressed with that, and I'm definitely going to use it a lot for the maxed out slow-mo. So moving on The travel and setup of this camera too is awesome because it's really small, it's super compact. I have it in a box that also holds my 360 camera. So it's like the size of a purse, and I have like 2 cameras that are completely different from each other, but with both of them or just one of them, I can film ideally anything I want. So I really like how easy this camera is. Once you flip it and set it up, it's super easy to use as well. The touchscreen is great. I'd say that the tracking feature is a bit of a nuisance. I think it's because of how small the screen is to really get like what you're trying to get going. You kind of need to squint, get in there. The camera itself is very fragile from what I hear, and holding it, it's very light. And I kind of get like sweaty palms holding it because it's so light, and I'm afraid of messing it up or hurting it. It's not waterproof, so that's also another thing. The case for it is cool, but it only covers like half the camera, so I have it in a case, in that case, to be extra secure because these cameras aren't cheap and I really want to have it for the long run. So that's like what's really good about it for like travel and setup. It's light, it's compact, you don't have to carry a bunch of stuff. You don't even really need a huge tripod depending on what you're filming. The selfie stick from the 360 camera is really good for it, as well as just the little tripod it has with it. You just want to make sure you put it in a place where the wind won't get it, vibrations from tricks perhaps don't hit it over, and yeah, your board rolling away isn't going to hit it either. So those are the big risks that I felt when I was filming this stuff. Like, it was a windy day and there's other skaters here. Anything can happen. I just got this thing. So the next thing is, yeah, the quality of the camera, really good, especially in the low light. I was impressed with that. The skate footage, you'll see me practicing the tracking. It's in the low light, and it's hard to explain it, but it's a lot darker in person than it looks on that camera. So I was really impressed with that. And pretty much anyone, mountain bike, skater, you know, scooter rider, you've all had that point where you're trying your trick, sun's going down, you're getting stressed, you just want to land it. You land it, you look at the camera, and it's grainy and dark, and you're like, why did I even, you know, I should have just came back, saved myself the heartbreak. So with this camera, you get at, I don't know, maybe 30 more minutes before you feel that I shouldn't film this, it's too dark scenario. So yeah, it's really good in that sense too for low light. The colors are great on it, it's crispy. There's a lot of settings you can do to make sure that it just has a lot of really good settings for how small it is. It's very impressive. Moving on, yeah, the creator pack. So this comes with all the fun stuff. You'll see in the video on my side here, I've been just putting my unboxing video because why not? And it comes with a lot of cool accessories. The mic I haven't actually used yet. I'm actually just filming this on my iPhone because it was more convenient for me. And the other stuff in there, I'm still kind of getting used to, but I really like the package of what you get. I think that's like, I was looking at the options and this was the most reasonable, so take that however, you know. Yeah, so the gimbal I wrote here. So the gimbal, yeah, it's gonna be pretty good. I think it's the best when you're walking and holding it and really fixating on the fact that you're using the gimbal. It's not really something that you can like not think about and use. It still takes some like creative insight and like soft steps to really get the most out of it. I do think that I am going to do a lot more action sports with it on a tripod and just kind of figure out the best method for that. Like I said, going towards the camera more as opposed to across to complement the gimbal's reaction time is something that I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, and vlogging is like a big thing for this camera too. I haven't really gotten too much into that yet, but I plan to. One of the problems is I don't vlog too much right now, and when I do, I kind of want to do it collaterally. So I usually used to vlog on my mountain bike trips, but I don't want to bring this camera mountain biking because one fall will wreck it, whereas the GoPro has taken a bunch of slams and that thing is still kicking. So, you know, there's certain preferences for this camera. Overall, I'm really impressed with it for my first week. I've been having a blast trying to film my friends and film myself in different areas with it. And I'll give you guys an update when I do on how it's been going, if I find it compelling enough to not make another video. But, you know, that's been it. It's been Ryan with Dangerous Edge, talking about the DJI Pocket 3, and it's been a fun one. I can't wait to see where I can go with it next. Peace.